Hello and welcome to Lesson 1.4. This lesson is all about the purpose underlying an author's composition of a text, that is, why they have chosen to write it and what effects they intend their work to have on their target audience. When an author writes a text, they often have a specific purpose in mind, or an outcome they want to achieve through writing the text. Their purpose is their reason or motivation for composing their work. Authors write texts for many different purposes. A text can often have more than one purpose. For some texts, the purpose is simple and straightforward, while for others, they might have a more complex or concealed purpose. Depending on the context in which the author was writing, the purpose can be sometimes buried or craftily integrated into symbolic layers of the literary work to send important messages. In this lesson, I will give you some tools to help you to identify what an author's specific purpose might be, and I will also cover how we can identify the ways in which language and narrative devices are used by authors to achieve their purpose. A significant piece of the puzzle in identifying a text's intended audience is first identifying its central message. When we are analysing a text, we can ask ourselves, what are the key messages this literary work is sending to its audience? If we can work out the underlying message, we can usually work out who might be the intended recipient of this message. A message can be a moral, a learning, a lesson, an idea, a realization, a key insight or point of view. A message can be a truth about the world, an opinion, a harsh reality, an epiphany or discovery. The message can be a moral, lesson, idea or perspective about human nature, or a social or political reality that the author seeks to uncover for the audience. When we are trying to identify a text's message, we can ask ourselves, what is this text trying to tell us? What lessons is it trying to teach us? What does the author want us to realise about ourselves, our identity, human nature, our society, our culture, or our political reality through engaging with their work? What new insights have I gained from reading their work? This is an opportune moment in this lesson to point out the difference between a text's themes and its messages and purpose. A text's themes are the key or central ideas it explores through its plot, characters, symbols, and imagery. When students analyse literary works and discuss themes, they often discuss them in what I like to call catchphrasey ways. A catchphrase is a commonly expressed, often concise phrase that captures an idea in a simple, easily recognisable, and usually brief sentence or label. For example, the themes of William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet could be labelled as love, death, conflict, fate, just to name a few. If you wrote an analytical essay that discusses how Shakespeare uses various dramatic devices to explore such themes, you could very well end up with some effective analysis. However, without fully exploring the key messages that Shakespeare intended to share with his audience about these themes, your analysis might fall a bit flat. It may lack depth and dimension. It may not be as specific, evaluative, and purposeful as it could be. When you are able to use your understanding of a literary work's context, values, purpose, messages, and audience, you go beyond the surface level styles of analysis that students often produce when they are focused on just the themes and techniques. Often a text's message will strongly relate to its central themes, but the messages will connect the text's ideas with the author's intended purpose. For example, Shakespeare wasn't just telling his Elizabethan audience a story about love at first sight. He was sending them a compelling message about the potential dangers of permitting one's passion to override their reason and duty, leading to fatal consequences. As you will learn throughout this lesson, you could take this a step further by asking yourself the ever-useful literary analysis questions: to what end and for what purpose? These questions would allow you to tease out further evaluation of what messages Shakespeare was intending to communicate, for who, and why did he seek to communicate these messages. I am hoping that by the end of this lesson, you will have a clearer understanding of the relationships between all of these different textual elements so that you can begin to develop the depth and complexity of your own literary analysis.